Real Life UnPlugged, living in the reality of experiences, wanted and unwanted. Doing it without a mask and doing it unplugged. This is part 2 of a series called Coming Out, where we are applying the principles of Jesus, the way, the truth, and the life to coming out of the darkness of what can be shattering situations. This is Real Life UnPlugged, and I'm Jae Hers. Come with me on this journey to find the way through the truth to the light. This is Real Life UnPlugged, and I'm Jae Hers. Come with me on this journey to find the way through the truth to the light.
Well, one thing I will say is that knowing who you are in Christ, and once you know who you are, whose you are, and having that love for Christ and having that self-love and allowing God to lead and direct you, because the one thing you gotta have is that faith. You gotta have faith knowing that God will lead you, guide you, direct you, and He will carry you through the process. Because a lot of times people will look to others versus solely looking to God and having that full faith and trust in Him to lead and guide them through the process.
First, faith is always the number one thing. That's what we use to guide us. However, it goes to say that faith without works is dead. So a lot of people, they have faith, but then don't put in the work. So you can sit down, you can go to church, you can hear the pastor, you can take in what God, is placing in you, but you have a lot of folks that sit on it. They don't.
They do what?
They sit on it.
They do who?
Okay.
There's a song I did called My Destiny's Crying, and then more recently, Purpose Over Everything.
I like that song.
So I think, putting in context what she just said, it's, for me, when you have nothing left, you have your purpose, you have your destiny, you have your calling.
So we're back again with my guests. O'Londy, Georgia, and Jastin. Boom!
There you go.
I said his name wrong the last time, y'all. But definitely want to jump right in. We had such a great conversation. We want to continue with what we were talking about, speaking to coming out. The thing I want to kind of go over is the truth part. I think we kind of touched on it a little bit. Webster's describes or defines truth as a quality or state of being. Also, which for me is that it's in accordance with fact or reality. So I want to talk a little bit about the truth. We talked about how purpose ties in with coming out. What is the truth, or how do we find that truth so that we can continue in this process of life and coming out?
I believe we find that truth in being transparent and being, when you're transparent, that's when you basically accept your truth. If you're not transparent with yourself first, not even others, but just being transparent with yourself to be able to say, okay, this is what happened to me. This is where I played a part. This is where I could have, did things differently instead of focusing on what other people did, but taking the transparency to admit to yourself what it is that you did wrong, how you could have corrected it, and how you plan to correct it.
So not being, even if I am a victim, they hurt me. Okay, he took from
you.
me.
Yeah.
Right. So why can't I?
I mean, the only reason why, okay, you're a victim, somebody took from you.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
So instead of you looking at it as you blaming yourself, I'm not saying to blame yourself and say, oh, I shouldn't have wore that, right? If you took from you, I shouldn't have wore that, or I shouldn't have did this. You could say to yourself, well, I should accept the fact that this has happened to me, and I should want to move on from this so that it doesn't continue to affect my life. So instead of looking at it like, oh, he took that from me, I shouldn't have, been so nice, or I shouldn't have, sat so close to him. Accept it. So the transparency part, this has happened to me.
That's good.
I need to move on. If not, it's going to continue to affect my life. And I think that's part of the transparency part.
That's beautiful. That's beautiful.
I'm glad she said that. I just want to share my personal testimony. I've experienced date rape. I've experienced being touched by a family member. I was in a relationship where it was abusive. Owning your truth. No one deserves to be violated. But at the same time, in order for you to own up your truth, then you have to be, one thing we don't like to do is to see ourselves. God will show us ourselves. We'll say, God, well, what about me? Well, what do you think I should do? And God will show us ourselves, and we'll put a deaf ear to it. We'll take a blind eye to it. For me, I always said, I don't hold any hatred in my heart. But then I would constantly call my abuser the abuser. Who am I? I'm not God. So now I'm stereotyping my abuser. I have to let that go, because how can they be set free and delivered if I'm still calling them something from the past? So not only do they need to be set free and delivered, I need to be set free and delivered, and that's the truth. Seeing yourself through the process.
Yeah. I'm over here with the lump in my throat.
Yeah. Oh, you want me to add to that?
I'm waiting for you.
Well, I mean, the ladies have said it. However, I would add, it starts within. So everything they said, victim, what you pick any situation, it's already in you. That truth that you were looking for is already in you. So when something happens, we all get it. We get that little, you know, in your heart, in your mind, but you try to, it's not me. Let me blame them. And so I've learned that truth, the reason why I love truth, and even hearing your definition makes my mind, I'm still like, wow, is that it, how can I say it?
Just say it.
If we would just know it starts with us, that truth, we can instantly be healed and heal the other person. Now, granted, we have a choice. We know that. But when we look at us first, it makes their situation a lot easier. At least, you know, the principle of that is truth.
Okay.
But we try to deny it, we hide from it, those type of things. And then acceptance. I think the truth, I think the truth, how can I say this? Acceptance is the key to the truth. So we get that inkling, we know something happened, and we want to look at us, but we don't want to look at us. And until you can accept your part, regardless, any situation, even if you know they're to blame, but your first question should be, well, what did I do wrong? How can I do something different? And when you can accept even that question being asked to yourself, you find all the truth, and then things can change.
That's heavy. That's heavy. You know, just, whew. I'm just having a moment personally because we were off camera they were jumping on me. But I think that's so true, the transparency, accepting that state of reality. And I think sometimes we, you know, in marketing, reality, perception is reality. That's like your marketing 101. That's a freebie. Perception is reality, but really truly looking at that and not our reality in our mind, because I think we all can conjure up things, but really looking at what the Word of God says, you know, in what truth is, and accepting that. And, you know, someone would say, well, I'm not a believer and I don't know this God of whom you speak, and that's okay. You know, we want you to come on over and really take that time. That's the purpose of why we're here. We're taking this journey together. I think us keeping in mind and holding to the accountability that the truth is really set before us. And when we start to inflect and we start to be transparent, and we start to really look at where we are, and we start to really, you know, stop not only accepting our part, but letting another person be free in so that they can be delivered. You know, we talk about forgiveness as part of coming out and just pulling all this together. I'm really blown. I'm blown away in a great way. And I really would like to hear you give us a little bit more insight with your story.
Where do I start? No. So just hearing everything, I'm learning so much from the ladies, from what they've said. And again, it makes me think about me.
Okay.
And where I can, even at this point, where's my truth now?
Okay.
But two things I'd like to share. One is health. I have gone through a lot of unexpected health issues. One injury in school at North Carolina A&T State University, Aggie Pride. And when things are unexpected, especially with health, if you don't have health, you can't do anything, right? And when you're trying to get through that process of whatever happens, it can put you in a dark place. And I've been there. 12 years I have been dealing with this one issue where I got hit in the groin playing basketball. I've had 7 surgeries, been on medication, seen all type of specialists, and I've never been addicted. I've never acted on any bad type of feelings towards myself. So I'm blessed to you know, but it puts you in a really bad place, and you start blaming yourself. Why this happened to me? Why shouldn't I play? Basketball is my favorite sport. Why was I out there playing? You know, you start going through all these things, and that's one way that I've learned my truth and who I am. And it's kind of been my thorn in my side because it keeps me close to God, you know. But moving forward, trying to be a father.
Okay.
Married, very short-lived. You think that, okay, it didn't work out, so having our child, that's, you know,
Yeah.
that's separate, right? That's separate. I set the expectation. If anything happens, this is, you know, we're going to do what we need to do, right? Yeah, sure, of course. Okay, now it didn't work. Now I can't see my son the way I'm supposed to.
Wow.
Everything changed. I lost everything. And in the middle of that, domestic violence, falsely accused, you know, the different areas of now in the system of parent alienation, family court, child support. Oh, I've seen it all now, you know, but I'm still here. I'm out. Like, I literally lost everything, didn't know what happened, again, unexpectedly. Like, what do I do? I'm to blame, all these different things. And you take accountability, you know, the ownership. Now, after that, what do you do? Where do you go?
You're out.
And I'm out.
That's awesome.
Now, it's still a process,
but you're out.
I'm out.
You're out. And I love that. I appreciate you for sharing that with us. When you say I'm out, I love that you brought that situation, and hopefully, you know, we'll be able to have you to come back and we'll talk about and explore that a little bit more. But to say that this is still happening, but I am out. There's that state, that truth, and that reality. I want to kind of want you to tell me, to the person who says, you know, I hear what you're saying. That's really cute. You know, I hear
real
you.
cute.
Yeah, it's real cute. I hear you. I hear very well. However, I've done the positive thing, you know, and I'm really trying, but every time it seems like I just can't get away from whatever this thing is, or these situations, or why do bad things keep happening to me? Why am I always the one finding myself in these situations that are just never good, right? How do I come out? Because I don't believe, you brought up Job, that we go through something for it just to be like an end place. So my question then is to the person who is in this place. How do we speak to them? How do we help them to come out?
A few things were running through my mind asking that question. One thing, let's speak to the person that may not fully trust and believe in God or know God. I would say, going back for me, I'm very transparent. For me, feeling like I was less than, feeling like I had no worth, feeling like there was nothing else for me. You have to come to a place where you reevaluate everything and you take a look at your life. Let's say I am a person of no faith, no belief, no hope, no trust. Who do you believe in? Who do you trust in? That's when you have to take a look at yourself as a person and say, do I love myself? Do I care enough for myself to get out of this pit and move on to the next level? You have so many people out here committing suicide because they don't have that positive connection, or they don't have that self-love. It wasn't taught to them, or maybe whatever that may have happened to them in their life. But you have to look at yourself and say, I'm more than this situation, that it will get better. Now, putting God in the midst of everything. Almost everyone knows about God in this world. They've heard about him. They've seen some type of miracle, signs, wonders, something. You got to reach out to God. I was in a place where I had no one to look to. I had no one to say, hey, I'm in need, I'm in help. They knew it, but no one wanted to be bothered. So for me, I had to say, God, you have to get me out of this situation. Because I was that person that felt like there was nothing left for me.
Right.
I found myself in a closet putting a gun to my head and ready to shoot myself. But God used someone to call me and say, God said he has more for you. There is purpose for your life. I was that person that was in an abusive relationship, and in my mind I said, no one will love me, no one will want me. And then that person telling me, who's going to want you? So I felt like I had to stay in that situation to where I was fighting for my life. And then I had to say, no, whether anyone wants me or not, God loves me. So I needed that self-love, and I needed God's love to cover me and get me out of that situation.
Right, right.
Because that's an issue with a lot of people. They have that self-hate and don't have self-love. No one to tell them that they are beautiful, they are wonderfully made, they are purposed.
So how would you then, you know, and I think that's great. I want to hear your story. I don't want you to overshare because I need to hear your story. We have that time for you. To the person who's in that situation, what do you say? What is your word to encourage them? Go ahead. What would that, if you had one word to say to that person, what would that be?
They are loved.
How about with you? What would you share to a person that's in that pit, that's in that place of just absolute, I've done everything and there's still just no resolution for me? What's your...
I would say that what you put out in the atmosphere, what you think, is really what leads your way. And I say this because if in your mind you're always thinking that, oh, it's not going to work out, you know, something bad's going to happen, you know, this is not happening for me. When you continue to tell yourself that, sort of like what I said before, when people continue to tell you those negative things, it's the same thing with us. If we continue to tell ourselves that, we will stay in a situation. Mm-hmm. But if you tell yourself, I need to think differently, once you start thinking differently, because me too, I was in an abusive relationship for 4 years with my daughter's father. And I remember always telling myself, oh, you don't have a high school diploma. Nobody's going to want you. You're 18 with 2 kids. You know, your parents don't care for you. They already neglected you, all those things. I used to tell myself that all the time. It's not until I stopped and said, you know what? You are great. You will be great. And then I started to make improvement. I decided that I was going to get my GED. I went, took the test at 19, and I passed. That was the beginning for me.
That's awesome.
And after that, it was always positivity. You don't need him. You got your GED now. You can go get a job. And that's what I did. When I got the job, oh, now you can go get your own place so you can get away from him. So it was like me continuing to tell myself, you know, positive thoughts, and what you put out in the atmosphere is really what happens.
That's awesome.
The universe, you speak it, it will happen. You know, and they say an idle mind is the devil's playground.
Yeah. Yes.
And if you sit there and you always thinking these thoughts, the devil he loves that. He is just playing all around in that thing.
Yeah. That's great.
You
That's
know?
great.
So
okay, so I'm hearing a theme here. Then what would be your one word?
They saying it all. I mean, I don't know.
So if you could pick one word or just one phrase to say to that person, does that exist? What would you say?
Perception is one word that always comes to mind. I talk to myself saying that. So I would say to that person, change your perception. Like she said, the way you think is a part of that, but then the other part is, like I said, for me being hurt, this unexpected thing that happened to me. The pros don't even have this happen to it, but it happened to me, 1 in a million, right? But my perception is that there's a reason that this happened to me. And I can talk to more people about it. I mean, there's just so many things that happen. So once you change that, you can actively think better thoughts. And I think too, kind of talking yourself up, like hyping yourself,
be your
can really help. Like
Rooting
to the point
yourself.
where like you blowing your head up, but like it has to be, how can I say it, properly fed. Okay. But things that you believe and that you want, but keep telling yourself that because no one else is going to tell you.
Right.
Like believe that, as you can tell when you're in that space.
Yep.
Believe that. But if you're talking, I am great. Nobody can do what I do.
Yeah.
You know, I say this tip. I always say being a musician and a unique musician and creating my own lane, especially in hip hop, you're like Jay-Z is the the biggest ever, right?
Okay.
But Jay-Z can't do what I do.
Exactly.
I like that.
And vice versa.
So that's how, exactly. So that's how you have to kind of really engage yourself to be like, okay, and you start, like she said, one by one.
Yeah.
Moving, progressing.
Yep.
You all have been fantastic. I do want you, I know you've given us some, and I said I wanted to come back, but give us just a bit more insight in your story and kind of, you share some of what you've gone through, but just kind of culminating that to where you are now for us, please.
Okay. One thing I do want to touch on, because the biggest topic in recent years has been bullying. Bullying at school, maybe bullying at work. But what about bullying within your family? Flesh and blood. Those that's supposed to love on you and care for you the most, but they're the bullies in your life. That's what I experienced in my life. I had self-hate for the longest. Nasty for no reason. Because there was never love, hope, you can do this, you know, to uplift me. It was always negative. Everything was negative. I wasn't good enough. I wasn't smart enough. I had someone tell me, you're not smart enough to go to college, so I hope you don't think you're going to college.
Wow.
I had another person say, well, how you going to get there? Because I'm not paying for it. That's something that plays on your mental.
That's true.
As a little girl, as you get older, if you don't have anyone that's pouring into you positively, that sticks with you. And then you go out here and you look for love in the wrong places. And then you find yourself in situations that could have been prevented had you known your self-worth.
So where are you now?
So where I am now, and I'm thankful that I had a talk with Jesus, and I said, you know what, God, there has to be more to me than what they're saying that I am. I said, I am better than what's been said to me, what's been fed to me. And it took for me to ask God, and I would tell people this all day long, it took for me to tell God, I need you to guide me in this. I need you to show me who I am. I need that self-love placed in me, because what I saw was generational curse. This person did it to me, so now I'm doing this to you. And now it's a generational curse. And that was something that I say, it stops here.
That's excellent.
My mom had my brother at 21. My brother had my niece at 21. I had my son at 21, unmarried, all of us. I said the generational curse stops here. My niece is now 24, no children.
That's awesome.
My son will be 21 this year, no children. So it's all about speaking it.
Right. Right.
Breaking that generational curse.
Right.
And wanting to see better and do better.
That's awesome. Well, I want to thank you for your story, for sharing with us. I want to thank each and every one of you. Thank you all so much for coming here and having actually shared some of the most personal pieces of your life so that we all may actually get set free.